Hi, my second episode. Um, I've just done it. So part of what I wanted to say was really conscious of it now. I am very aware that my first episode contained quite a lot of ums. It wasn't scripted, and I think that is just how I talk because I have so many thoughts going on that I need a minute to pause and remember what I'm saying. And I also I thought about re-recording it. I genuinely did, but I didn't want it to feel scripted or not authentic. And it's the first ever podcast I've recorded, so I put it out there. It's not perfect, but that's kind of the intention is we don't have to wait for perfection. We can show up, give it our best, and do it anyway. So yeah, that's my little spiel about the first podcast episode. Um, I'm going to be so conscious of it now. I was hoping to record this a lot sooner. A couple of weeks ago, I think now, I had a bit of an ME flare. I was just not in a physical or mental place to be adding things into the mix that weren't absolutely essential. So I fully intended on doing it last weekend, probably on Sunday because we had Valentine's Day on Saturday. But neither happened for us because our cat, well, she's 10 months old. She's still a kitten, really. She jumped into the Tesco food delivery van as our shopping was being delivered. We obviously didn't know she jumped in there. And next thing we know, we're getting a call from the Tesco driver to say that she'd bolted from the back of the van when he got back to the depot, which is probably about 8 miles away, in quite a busy area. We live in quite a very rural area, a small village surrounded by fields. She's used to hunting mice and stuff. And yeah, so that just completely threw our weekend into trying to find Freydis. We put up posters. We went out at all hours of the night and morning trying to find her. And it wasn't until Friday morning, thankfully, one of the night shift workers at Tesco sent me a message at 5 a.m. and said, I think I've got your cat. I've managed to lure her into the offices. And so I called him and he put it on video call, and there she was. I was honestly, we were so excited. We'd been absolutely heartbroken, thinking that we were never going to see her again. Um, and it's weird because I've never really had like cats growing up and stuff. And I remember when I used to like work at the hospital and stuff, and people would take days off because their pets got put down, and I wouldn't totally understand it. But it's not until having my own that I realised just how important they are, and they really do have different characters and different personalities, and we absolutely adore Freydis. So yeah, we're very happy to have her back home. She is fully settling back in. She's slept a lot, and is recalibrating, I think, just like we all are this weekend. Um, so yeah, here we are, second episode. It's quite late, but better late than never, eh? I've actually got my husband Dan with me for this episode. We thought we'd do a bit of a Q&A type thing just to explain a bit about what integrative wellness coaching is, because I don't think it's a phrase that has been commonly used in place of life coaching. It's not therapy. It sits somewhere in between. So that's what we're hoping to cover today.
Hi, I'm Dan, Jamie-Leigh's husband, um, and I've come along today hopefully to find out what my wife's been up to. Uh, so, what exactly is integrative wellness? I can't even say it.
um, so I chose to use the word integrative, sort of in place of the word holistic, because the coaching style, I guess, in terms of the integrative choice of word, is because it draws on different aspects of a person's life, much like a holistic approach. But I kind of felt that using the word holistic kind of had spiritual connotations to it, um, which I'm not opposed to at all. Like, as you know, I've got lots of kind of witchy spiritual books and crystals and stuff that I dabble with personally, but that's not what the focus of my coaching is. I mean, if a client wants that, we can totally go down that avenue, but I don't profess to be any kind of expert in it. It's just for my own personal stuff. So I went with integrative wellness because using the kind of more mainstream term, as in a holistic approach, it is very much taking a step back, looking at the whole person, all of the things that kind of make up that person's experience, from looking at things like their mind. How do they talk to themselves? Is it positive, negative? Is there room for improvement there? Um, Looking at thought patterns and things like trauma that they've been through or things that trigger it, are those things that need to be looked at. Um, and then the other side of it is like our nervous system, because often stuff going on in our mind triggers a reaction in our nervous system. A lot of the time it's subconscious, we don't even know that it's happening, and it can be actually learning to pay attention to our bodies that can help us to learn to realize what's going on in our brains, and that creates an awareness which helps eventually to break that cycle and create a new loop that is much healthier, gets away from activating your nervous system and actually moves towards bringing it some ease and calm and a feeling of safety. And then there's also looking at your body, exercise, nutrition. Nutrition is something that I am quite passionate about, ever since, sort of trying to lose baby weight, really, when, my son is 16 now, nearly 16, not quite, got a few months still. I started weight training when he was about 2.5, probably. And with the weight training and the nutrition, I just got really, I dived deep into that, and it's something that I still really enjoy learning about now. And also realizing how much, not only, I know it's all quite common knowledge now, but how much that plays into your mindset, um, but also how much our mindset can play into that, and that actually sometimes we don't have to do the things our brain is telling us to do. We might not feel like getting up and making that healthy breakfast or getting in the gym. Sometimes we just got to anyway, and actually feel so much better afterwards. Um, and then there's also looking at things like your daily habits. Do you have any? And if you do, are they actually working for you and serving you? What does your environment look like? Home, work, friends, family, your support network. Are you utilizing it? Are you quite isolated? um, yeah, and that's kind of why I've gone with integrative wellness, because I want to look at all of these things. It's not, I feel like sometimes with life coaching, it's got quite a sort of career progression idea to it, which obviously is absolutely fine. Like, I'm here for that if that's what you want to do. But the corporate kind of climbing the ladder thing is not really my bag. There's totally other people's stuff, and that's cool. And I would obviously support any clients wanting to progress in their jobs, but mental health and all the different aspects that impact that is really kind of where my passion lies.
Gee. I see. So, how's that different to therapy then? It sounds like therapy to me.
um, I suppose it's, whilst there are some similarities and definitely some overlapping, counselling therapy is very much looking at healing emotional trauma, looking at the past, looking at kind of who you are now, how did you get here, um, and looking at working through some of that stuff to create, healthier. It is very similar in the sense of creating sort of healthier views, healthier mindsets. It's a place for processing. I've done a lot of therapy myself over the years, and I've found it incredibly helpful. Um, yeah, I think for me, the reason I've kind of gone down the sort of coaching route rather than therapy is place for it. It's like very kind of looking for. Um, and then coaching, it to me, it kind of puts therapy into action. That's how I felt when I got to a point where in my own therapy journey where I was like, okay, cool, I know all of these things. It's great. I feel so much better in myself, but I still feel like there's something missing. And it wasn't really until I started my receiving my own coaching that I was like, I don't know, for me it just felt like something clicked, and it was like I had all of that knowledge that I'd gained about myself, who I am, where I've come from, and then was able to, through the help of my life coach, put that into practice. And it actually had such a big impact on my inner world, so much so, like, it really surprised me. And that's kind of why I chose to sort of go down that route where, yeah, like, coaching is quite practical. I'm quite a practical person. It uses past experiences to kind of inform where you are now, but with the kind of intention of exploring where you want to be and how you want to get there, and also and looking at breaking those sort of ambitions, dreams, whatever, into smaller manageable steps, so it's not sort of overhauling your whole life. It's creating those small little changes each day that actually, it sounds really cheesy, but over time it does add up into a bigger thing. And you look back at yourself and you're like, oh, I'm a completely different version of myself, but in a good way. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like I totally just rambled.
Yeah, but it sounds like going through coaching yourself and how that affected you is what's kind of steered you to try and pay that forward in some ways.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I'm glad you think so.
So, as a Gen Xer myself, a little bit older than yourself, I kind of grew up where you didn't talk about feelings, you just got on with things, you know. Get yourself in trouble, get yourself out. Is that a problem when it comes to life coaching?
No, not at all. I think on the whole, there has been a massive shift in terms of not only has like science, neuroscience, that kind of thing evolved massively over recent years. Our general awareness, you see it in the news, but it's talked about quite openly now, mental health and what mental wellness looks like. It's kind of like an open discussion now. And like I was watching Bridgerton when the latest season came out. They binged those 3 episodes. But it made me laugh because obviously I know it is only a TV show, but when you look back at those sort of time periods, and like these husbands and wives are married, they don't even talk to each other about whether they've reached their pinnacles or not. Which I found highly hilarious. But even when they're talking like mother and daughter or as friends about sex, they're like, hush hush, shut the door so no one else can hear us. It was such a time of and
Can I just point out I'm not that old?
I know, but it was.
I asked a question, you referred me to Bridgerton.
To be fair, I think you'd look quite good all dressed up like that. We should go to one of those like Renaissance parties. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is no, it's not a problem. Yeah, the discussion is so much more open now, I think. And also the great thing with life coaching is, depending on what you're actually wanting to achieve, there isn't a requirement for you to come in and spew your feelings everywhere. You can share as much or as little as you want to. If you come in because you're looking, say, at career progression, or I don't know, wanting to improve your fitness, your eating, things like that, you don't need to delve into your deepest, darkest self to be able to do that. I think if you're coming in wanting to address things like anxiety, burnout, then yeah, there probably will be some talk around that. But again, it's very client led. It's a conversation really that's led by the client, and there's no pressure to share anything that you're not comfortable with.
So, let's see if I can say it again this time. Who is integrative wellness for?
It's for anyone, really. You don't have to be broken, as it were, she says, with air quotes that you can't see. It's a bit like having a car or going to the gym. Prevention and maintenance, not just for repair. But obviously, if you are at that point, then that's not a problem either. The coaching, it's very much about noticing patterns, building awareness. That is the first key. Once you become more aware of why you do things, the way that you do them, or even the way that you think, picking up on those thought patterns, becoming aware of it, it makes it louder, and you start to notice these things yourself in your everyday life. And at that point, you then have more control and autonomy over what you want to do with them, how you want to change it, and how you want to move forward. It's very much an empowering process, and it's great for people with anxiety, burnout, depression, but it's not limited to that either. Literally anyone can come for a coaching session.
So, who are there any situations where who is integrative wellness not for? Is what I'm trying to say.
I think really the main thing is to make it clear that it isn't therapy, and it is definitely not a replacement for like crisis support. If a client came to me in sort of deep emotional crisis, I would be looking to signpost them to other professionals that are better equipped to kind of deal with that sort of thing. The client deserves to be met where they're at with what they need, and it would be unethical for me to sort of try to fill those shoes, really. And it's not about quick fixes. You don't have to come for coaching and think you're going to be stuck there for a year or whatever. That's not how it is. But equally, I don't think you can come for one session and expect everything to be fixed, as it were. Inner work, it does take time, takes consistency, patience, and it's definitely not about toxic positivity. I like doing yoga and things. I like using YouTube for things like that, but the ones that really bug me, or just people in general, is everything's unicorns and rainbows, because it just isn't. When you've lived a life, you know that it is not unicorns and rainbows, and that is not my stance, and it's certainly not something that I would be promoting. I'm here for the realness, really.
So, I mean, up until a few years ago, I'd have, and please don't hit me, probably said this is a load of nonsense. Again, as I said, a Gen Xer growing up at a certain time in a certain way. Yeah, I would say over the last 5 years, I've probably witnessed quite a bit in regards to friends and colleagues' mental health around me. That makes me view it all in a different way. But I'd say there's still a lot of people out there, my age, older, and younger, that don't really understand it or know much about it. What would you say to them?
I think I would just say that there's no judgment. It's a space to be curious. It's having a conversation. It's based on really creating awareness, and then following on from that, creating the space where choice and empowerment can flow, really. Yeah, and I don't think that that has got an age limit on it. You know, as you say, there might be some people that are a bit more closed off to that idea of mental health and whatnot, but you don't have to come in, like I said, with the idea that you've got to lay it all on the table. It takes time to build trust and that relationship to feel like you can open up and talk about those things if you want to. And at the end of the day, I don't think you're ever too old to feel better, and we've got one life, so why not try and get the best out of it that we can and enjoy it while we can.
I second that.
Thanks.